Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We have a fine program tonight. Let me bring out my first guest. He describes himself as... Did we get the bird, by the way? The bird has been secured? Okay. Has he really? Yes. Okay.
I'm saying yes.
Oh, they don't know, but for purposes of the show, they're saying yes, of course. My next guest tonight has described himself. He's described himself this way, as the worst disc jockey in radio. He has the afternoon drive time show here at WNBC AM, and for my money, this man represents state-of-the-art radio. Please welcome Howard Stern.
Nice to see you, sir.
I loaded the place with my people.
No. This is good. These folks.
This crowd is. These are people who like me.
Yeah.
Is there anybody who hates me here? Yeah. Which who? There's all kinds of scum out there who hate me.
See, we were going to have them in sections, people who loved Howard and people who hated Howard, but they obviously all love you. Let me ask you about this. You describe yourself as the world's worst disc jockey.
Well, I'm not a good disc jockey. I'm not like the guys on FM who tell you the weather every 10 minutes. I mean, I'm kind of strange on the radio, and I'm not a good disc jockey. I don't play records, that kind of thing.
Well, now, why is that? Why don't you play the records?
Because I basically hate the music that NBC plays. The station was in the toilet bowl before I got there, and if I continued to play the music that they played, it would have been probably dead last in the ratings.
Now, what kind of music do they play and did they play?
You know, Boy George, which for my money, I can't deal with that. And they play Julio Iglesias and Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
Did anybody actually buy that record? It's like number 5 or something. Oh, what a comatose audience. I've got to do well here tonight.
So you don't mess with playing the music.
If I do well, I'll be like Dodie Goodman, like on the Jack Parr show. I'll get to come on here every couple of weeks.
We're all pulling for you, Howard. We'd like to see you in that chair every couple of weeks.
I didn't know what to do because they gave me like a pre-interview and said David's real uptight, doesn't like you touching the back of his head like you did to Donahue. Oh, man. You did it. Thank you very much. He's uptight. He's uptight about touching another man, but I think it's beautiful. I think you're a beautiful man.
Okay, I think we have one more bird trick. If we could just... Howard, tell folks who have not, don't have the benefit of living in this area to hear your show what they would hear. You don't play music, so what do you do?
Well, it's been described as honest radio. We talk to people on the phone. We're ourselves. It's like your show in the sense that you don't come on here with a lot of phony hype, and you don't. You have people on with pets, and then the bird gets lost. I mean, we let anything happen. You know what I mean?
You make a lot of phone calls?
Very loose. We make a lot of phone calls. We call people who write us hate mail. Like this hate mail. This is our hate mail.
We have some here. Now,
some of our hate mail.
Do you want to get to the hate mail now, or you want to hold this for...
Well, maybe we should hold it.
All right. Well, all right. We will do... now, tell us about one of my favorite parts of the show is your dial-a-date.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, in order to get ratings in New York, you have to shock people. And I don't intentionally go out to shock... Well, okay, I do intentionally shock them because I know... If I don't, I won't have an audience. And we do a lesbian dial-a-date where we set up lesbians. I'm kind of like Jim Lang Jr. I like to think of myself as that. And just pack the show with lesbians. Something you ought to try. Lesbian dog trips. And there are lesbian dogs.
Just pack the show with lesbians.
Yeah, we pack the show with lesbians.
Okay.
It works, though. People like to see lesbians for some reason. I don't know. Like Donahue or any of the... When you were on in the morning, you didn't have any lesbians. You were just, Did you have lesbians?
I'm not sure.
No.
Are we close to it? All right. Well, quickly, Howard, mention how you opened the dial-a-date that I heard that one time.
No. You see, you're making me look bad. I said attention all homos, because I wanted. Not that I was calling I was calling homosexuals homos, and I wanted them to respond.
But you're well supported in the homosexual community.
The gay community loves me. I'm like their savior. I think I'm their spokesman. Okay. Because who else has homosexual dial-a-date?
Man right here.
Come on, can we have some homosexuals now? Come on down and we'll play.
We're going to go away for station identification. Think about it. Pack the show with lesbians. We'll be right back. Letterman is here from WNBC. Later tonight, Valerie Bromfield will be joining us tomorrow. Willie Nelson, Fun with Nitrogen with Dr. Richard Brandt. This will be exciting.
I can't figure out like why I'm on the show, though. It shocked me that you asked me on. But while I am on, I'd just like to say, because the show is coast to coast, if there are any other radio stations presently looking for talent, and they have, the right money, because I don't work for free.
No.
And if you enjoy what we do, I'd be interested in hearing any serious offers.
This is better than sending out tapes. That's very expensive.
Most
sure.
disc jockeys have sent out tapes and resumes and this kind of thing, but I'm always looking for work because I don't think NBC is going to let this nonsense go on much longer.
Now, how long have you been on the air?
Here?
Yeah.
In New York for 2 years.
So I think you're going to be here a while.
No, I give it 6 months and then I'm fired. I think in 6 months I'll be off the air and I'll be at another station.
How many stations have you worked for?
I've worked for about 6, and I've been fired from a couple. All for no good reason. I mean, I've always, driven up the ratings and this kind of thing, but stations insist on firing me.
What was the most recent firing? Where was that?
In Washington.
And why were you fired?
Well, I was fired because I made fun of other disc jockeys. Which is that's tame, compared to like lesbian dial a date.
Now, give me an example. Give me an example of a guy or a woman who was a disc jockey who you made fun of in Washington.
Well, I don't know. It's just that the radio today is so bland and so boring, and we get on and have fun. And I just started attacking every disc jockey who worked in the market. These guys who come on, and I don't know. They just talk about the weather and they play the records. I mean, that's not creative. So in any case, Los Angeles is a good place to work, or Chicago, anywhere in the Midwest. Although I don't go over in the Midwest that well. I don't do too well in Detroit.
Yeah.
I was in Detroit. So it's
How long were you in Detroit?
It was the worst part of my life. I hate the people in Detroit. I hated working there. I think I'd be depressed if I lived there, too. And most of Detroit is depressed.
But, Howard, I think you have to agree. Maybe you don't. You know more about this than I do, but it seems to me like working an afternoon drive at WNBC, New York City, that's got to be the best job in radio.
It's a good job, but what they did is I was so desperate to get here. My dream was to come to New York that I signed for very little money. And what I figure is they're pulling in about $5 million a year on my show, and I'm not making anywhere near that. And I'm not trying to say I'm money hungry, but I've worked this hard. Getting a job at NBC New York is harder than getting a job on a baseball team. So here I finally make it, and what they did, they're basically giving me the shaft because they're getting $300 a minute in advertising. I don't know what you make. I read you made like $1 million a year, and that's not all that much for a network guy. They have the most unbelievable, it's because you're so desperate to be, a star that you end up selling yourself out, which I think you did.
Really? All right, well, hell, if there's anybody looking in now from anywhere around the United States,
Yeah, but I did the same thing.
I can do weather, I can do movie reviews. I've done some
Ron
news.
Reagan Jr. does movie reviews. Well, that's real entertainment. He's doing it on our radio station now.
Ron Reagan doing it.
He's very qualified because he's seen like 6 movies. His qualifications are high.
Oh, no, I know. Mention the other folks that work with you on your show.
Robin Quivers, who works with us. And 2 talented people, Fred Norris, Al Rosenberg, Judy DeAngelis, Janie LaCue, the cleaning. We have a slew of people. It's kind of like gang radio.
It's very funny. Very funny and very innovating, and it's the kind of thing you have to listen to it. You find yourself not being able not to listen to it. That's worth money in the bank. I heard you describe yourself once as the Arthur Godfrey of the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, there's more truth there than
thanks.
that one person who applauded may know.
It's going to do wonders for my career being known as the Arthur Godfrey of the 80s.
But you know what I'm saying. In a certain regard, there's truth in that. Okay. Now, we're going to read some of these letters. Is that right, Howard?
This is hate mail. The station gets a lot of hate mail.
Okay, I'll just start out. We've kind of penciled in some of the stuff that's good. Dear Mr. Mulholland, well, he's not here.
Yeah, right.
Over the past several months, I have overheard various derogatory comments from a diversified segment of individuals concerning the absurdity of the subject show aired during the late afternoon weekdays. Well, so far it doesn't make any sense.
Right. Well, basically the people who write in, too, they listen all the time. They can cite every bit that we do.
I intentionally took time to listen to about 20 minutes of Howard Stern doing air checks on this date, and I find it literally impossible to express the effect it had upon me. Disgustingly filthy with absolutely no sense of morals is a simple description, but far too mild.
You see, that's the thing. A lot of people don't understand what we do, if I can be serious.
Another satisfied listener.
Yeah.
Dear Mr.
McTheeney.
McTheeney. Oh, I'm
He
sorry.
used to be our program director. He's gone.
Gone also.
He's over at MTV ruining that. He tried to ruin me. He used to give me all kinds of directives.
Yeah.
He used to tell me to be quiet, get your bits done in 2.5 minutes. Like, yeah, I need a lot of time. I don't do things in 2.5 minutes.
Right.
Leave that to the old-time disc jockeys.
Yeah.
And but actually, I don't want to say anything too bad about him. But he's over at MTV, and we've all seen MTV.
Now, do you work, is the show formatted like they had the old clock where at 12 minutes after you played an up-tempo whatever?
It's not typical radio, our show, for people who haven't heard it. It's just,
Do you get along well with the folks at WNBC, the management?
Oh, I hate them. I hate them because they hired me, and then as soon as I was there, the first couple of weeks I was there, they told me to change everything I do.
Yeah.
Which is total
Why did
nonsense.
they hire you?
They hired me because I had high ratings, but when I came in and started doing what I do, they told me to they told me to clean up my act.
Yeah, slicking it up.
Which
That
is
makes
kind
no
of
sense.
phony.
Okay.
They hired me because they wanted to make a lot of money.
We have one more. I found one here.
They get nervous when I talk like this, so.
This comes to just dear sir. Well, that person
good.
probably still here. I know of people who refuse to purchase a car containing only AM radio for the mere reason that they refuse to be subjected to the narrow mind of Howard Stern.
Yeah, I've ruined AM radio.
Yeah.
Single-handedly.
Yeah. Now, do you ever talk to these people? You call them on the phone?
Yeah, we call them on the phone. We were going to do that today.
Yeah.
But we're not.
We don't have time.
We ran out.
Now, what happens when you
Because they had
confront
the
these-
pets on. Good.
Now, what happens when you confront the folks on the air with the letters like this?
And by the way, that was some dog, that Michael Jackson dog. I mean, all of his manliness was showing right on network television. Put me to shame. That's what kills me. Put me to shame.
You know, it's interesting.
My wife's going to watch that tonight and be jealous.
It's interesting that you would notice. Is what kind of puzzles me. It's a joke. Howard, so what are your plans well, I think you're going to be here a long time, but other things, other areas, what do you want to do besides...
Well, I just want to, I don't know, we'd like to do some television.
Yeah.
If we can get that. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know. It looks like we're going to have a pilot.
It's the first
Believe it or
step.
not. That's the first step. We have a pilot, and then we have to find someone to show it. And, that's more difficult.
Well, I'm glad I know you're on the air right now, and I really appreciate you coming down here and spending...
Well, you can have me on again?
We'd
I want to be like a
every
regular, like
All right.
Marv Albert.
I think we can work it out. The cutting
I'll
age...
prepare stuff the next time I come on.
The cutting age of radio technology, ladies and gentlemen, Howard Stern. We'll be right back. Valerie Rockfield.
Strange things are going on. We're here in the Ed Sullivan Theater, and as we were passing out the celebratory shakes, something exploded above Paul.
Did you see that?
And showered him in sparks.
It was,
I think we have it on videotape. First of all, are you all right, Paul?
Yeah, well, that was a...
Look at this. There it is.
I thought it was, that's me over there, yeah.
You know what that is, Paul?
Yeah.
That's the ghost of Ed Sullivan saying, "Don't go."
Don't. That's right.
Don't go. Or, what are you waiting on?
Now.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first guest is a radio legend, a cultural icon, and a good friend of ours. He's the host of his own show on Sirius XM Radio, and he's also a judge on America's Got Talent, which returns May 26th. Ladies and gentlemen, the king of all media, Howard Stern. Howard, come on up.
This is it.
Welcome back to the
This
program.
is it. I brought this out. This was...
You look great, by the way.
Thank you. You look great, too. You know, look, I'm not going to get all sentimental. As far as I'm concerned, thank God you're leaving. You know, really, these appearances, they cause a lot of angst. I'm here to announce my retirement from this show, which is great. Finally.
How many times have you been on this show?
You know, I have no idea.
20-something, 24, 25?
I'm sure it could have been a lot more, but I stopped doing it a lot. I limited. I didn't want to turn into Regis, where it was some ridiculous number like 175 appearances. I mean, the poor guy, you know? I mean, 175 appearances.
Always very entertaining, though, Regis.
And you guys were always nice enough. You would call me, ask me to be on the show, and
Well, you're busy. You have your own show.
Well, yeah, I got my own life. I mean, I'm up there. By the way, I'm waiting to get on. I'm waiting through the top 10 and everything else, and I'm like, my God, even the writers have checked off this show already. I saw what was going on with the monologue. I mean, it's outrageous. Well, this is exciting. You're finally leaving, and
How many?
you know, I'm worried about Paul. Paul, how are you, man?
I'm doing all right, Howard. Are you worried about me?
I think it's time for truth. It really is. I mean, the network can't do anything. We don't care about our image anymore. Tell them why you wear the dark glasses every single show. Tell them how high you are right now.
I wear them the same.
Dave, the man has been baked. I don't mean high. I mean baked.
That's not. What about you? Why do you wear the sunglasses every time you come on?
wear the dark glasses to hide my hideous face.
Oh,
But
well,
I don't, you know, that's...
No, it's the same with me.
But it's with Paul. I mean,
Hideous.
the glasses got bigger and bigger as the years went by.
Yes.
At some point, he's going to be wearing an Iron Man mask if the show lasts another 2 years.
The last show.
Take off the dark glasses. Show people your
No,
eyes.
it's fine.
Come on, show people.
Last show,
Look
the
at that.
Iron Man.
What'd I say?
Absolutely fine. Come on. 65.
And you, my friend, you know, I read this article. That's why I brought it out. I mean, now you've decided to start doing all kinds of interviews. Why now? You did the New York Times. You did the Rolling Stone. Why don't you do it a few years ago when you were competing against Jay? Now you're talking? Now's the time to shut up. You're retired.
Nobody asked me.
Nobody asked you before.
No, nobody would ask me before.
Well,
and plus, I'm sort of like you. I feel like I really don't have much to say.
Oh, you've got plenty to say, but you won't say it. I mean, first of all, you read this thing. This sounds like the worst retirement ever. You haven't thought this through. You're going to live in Montana. I see it. Now hold it.
I never said I was.
Yes, you did. You said you're going. I read this. Did you read this? You said you're going to Montana for the summer. And I'm thinking.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that sounds great. And you got to hear this.
That sounds tremendous.
You're a man who's a recluse. You don't
I'm not a recluse.
You don't like to go anywhere.
You make me sound like I'm on the lam.
But in the article, you do say, listen, I'm going off. I want to be alone. I found this place. Jack Hanna told me I'm going to be all by my own.
I'm going to be working at the Columbus Zoo.
And you're going to go out there, and you're going to sit around. You like to fish with Harry. That'll go for 3 days.
Now, wait a minute. Have you ever been fishing? You and your buddy Jimmy Kimmel. I bet you guys go fishing.
Yeah, and you want to know?
Well, there you go.
That lasts for 15 minutes. You don't turn that into
Well, that's Jimmy Kimmel.
But you've not thought through this retirement thing at all.
What's to think about?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, when you take off to Montana for the summer, think about your poor wife. And by the way, people are bringing you gifts. I brought a gift for your wife.
Well, that's very thoughtful, Howard.
That's number one.
What do you
This
have
is
here?
for your wife,
Thank
Regina.
you very much.
I got into, I started painting. I paint. And I'll just give you a hint. There's a note to her on the back, which I don't want to share with the audience. It's actually a note of apology. But I made her this little painting. I thought she would like it. And the reason turn it around, show the people. You don't have to look at it.
Beautiful. Is that what is that?
That's watercolors.
I know, but what is the
It's
flower?
a daffodil. I thought it'd be nice for her.
Beautiful. Howard, you did this?
Tell you why.
Oh, you did this?
Yes, I did. I did this because your wife
You
is a
can't
saint.
even see the numbers.
No. No numbers.
The whole joke.
No, I thought she'd like it. I said to myself, Dave.
Beautiful, Howard.
Dave, I said to myself.
Holy crap.
Would you listen to me?
No. Am I the only one stunned here that he could do this?
I've never given a painting to anybody, really. But for your wife, because I feel so bad for her.
Thank you very much.
The poor woman's going to go off to Montana with you.
And you're going to stand there.
First of all, we're not going to Montana.
You are. You're going to.
Secondly, Jack Hanna has nothing to do with this.
It said, can I just say something?
Jack Hanna has nothing to do with me and Montana.
It said in the article, you decided you wanted to find a place to be away from people. And then it says in the article, you go there, and then you get lonely, and you invite people to Montana. But really, the person I felt worse for is your wife.
Right, but let me
Because you're so selfish.
All right, as we go along...
Hold it. You're selfish.
Let me refute some of the inaccuracies.
But let me finish.
Jack Hanna, a dear friend, has nothing to do with me going to Montana for a weekend, for a month, for the rest of my life.
You said to Jack Hanna.
No, I didn't.
It was Jack Hanna. You said it in the article.
I'm sorry, I did not say to Jack Hanna.
You were misquoted in your own article.
Perhaps.
All right, so forget Jack Hanna.
Yeah, but all right, but do you want to know the real story?
Yeah. By the way, I am never going to see David Letterman again. You know that. I have tried to get to... I have so many things to say. You and I were supposed to have dinner a few weeks ago. Mr. Steve Martin, the great comedian, put this together. We had it on the books for weeks. That day, Dave cancels the dinner, and he says, oh, I forgot, I'm going to be on vacation. So this is it. I mean, we're never going to see each other socially.
What's that story? Again, what is the point of that story? I was in for dinner, and then I realized I'm not even going to be in town.
But how do you realize that the day of the dinner? You had weeks.
Because I'm not paying attention. You think it's like, it's not exactly Christmas Eve.
You don't have a schedule?
I have a schedule,
and
but
when
it's not like,
plans,
oh, the ball is dropping. I'm having dinner with Howard. I got to be in town.
I canceled a trip to Florida because you were in, and I thought this would be nice for us to...
It would have been great.
Forget it. Listen to this. You want to hear something about this guy? Listen to this. Don Rickles is coming on later, right? Listen to it. My hero. Dave doesn't know I know this. He invited Don to go to dinner with him after the show. You think I was invited? I wasn't invited. Terrible. Terrible. But I don't want to go anyway, believe me.
Howard?
Listen to you two guys.
Once again.
Yeah.
First of all, I didn't realize it was Carnaby Street night. Secondly...
What did I do? I dressed up for you. Come here. Come here.
No,
come here. Stand.
Wait a minute.
Come here. Come here. Wait a second. Come here. Come over here.
What are we doing, Howard?
Come here. Is this goodbye? Is this our final time together?
No.
Come here.
No, what are you going to do?
Come over here. Come here. Come here. Come here. No. Come here. Come here and hug me. Come here. No! Kiss me. Kiss me. No. Kiss me. Kiss me now. No. Kiss me now. We'll be right back. Come on, horrible.
Now let's go back. No.
By the way, I just want you to know...
The thing about dinner, I had nothing to do with dinner tonight. Don Rickles and his friends are having dinner.
Right.
Paul and I, if we have time later, might stop by. But I didn't arrange the dinner.
Dave.
You shouldn't feel affronted. You shouldn't feel left out.
You know, Dave...
Go to dinner with Don Rickles.
Listen, I don't want to go to dinner with Don Rickles. And honestly, I've heard the Frank Sinatra stories enough. Come on. Listen to me. The truth is, you and I, we've known each other many years. I want to tell a story. Now's the time for me to tell a little story about doing this show.
Now
in the 80s, be quiet. In the 80s, I was a disc jockey at NBC, and Dave called me up to do his show. This was in 1983.
Take a look at the picture here. That's all you need to know right here. Let's take a look at the picture.
I know. Oh, it's hard. Oh. I had a horrible idea. I had a horrible idea when I did that.
Look, everybody, it's the president of the math club.
I wasn't the coolest guy. No, let me say this, though. I do want to say this. So Dave gives me a call to come on the show, and I got to tell you, you know, I'd heard all the stories. I knew David Brenner, the late David Brenner.
Oh, yeah?
He went on Johnny Carson's show, and when he went on Johnny's show, do you know the next day he told me he was a millionaire. He was booked in every major club, in every place in Vegas.
The power of that show?
The power of Johnny.
Yeah.
So I was prepared. Dave called me. He tapped me to be on the show. And there it was, and this is so sentimental. He says, come on the show. And now I'm thinking to myself, I am going to be a millionaire from being on this show overnight. Yeah. Well, I go on. Nothing happened. Zero. I mean, my parents didn't see it.
Your parents?
My listeners didn't see it. No one saw it. The power of this show. Thank God it's over. It's enough. It's been a huge disappointment. It really has. It's enough.
Disappointment. Now, you have a it seems like you're always in the middle of some
And by the way, Dave, are you thinking about having Jay Leno on next week for your last guest? This isn't... Don't applaud that. Are you serious? Are you out of your mind?
I don't know. Is that happening?
Yeah, is that happening? It is not. Is it true you guys put out the offer to Jay to do the show? It is. And Jay said no, that creep? Did he say no? Good. I don't want him on my show. Who needs him? Why would you ask him to be on?
I'm not a producer.
You don't have anything to do with that?
No.
What would you say to Jay?
You know, Jay asked me to be on when he was finishing his show, and I said, that's a lovely offer, but I think it really should be more about just Jay on his final week of shows.
Yeah.
So I declined. And I think...
Good for you.
I think he may feel the same way about this situation.
That's good. That's good. What are you going to do with yourself? I heard you want to do something.
So that's when we called you.
Listen. Thank you. Hey. I was thinking about it. Who is the best? I've been thinking about this. Who is the best guest out of all the years?
This is a good question.
Who is the best guest? I thought about it.
Who do you think is... All right, you tell me your best guest on your show. I'll tell you my best guest on my show.
The best guest on your show?
No, the best guest on your show.
Why are you changing this?
The best guest on your show, and then I'll tell you the best guest on my show, and then we'll switch.
The best guest on my show that comes to mind, you were very good, but you weren't great. You could have been a little more forthcoming. No. Jerry Seinfeld was very good.
Jerry Seinfeld.
That's
great.
Jerry was great. And Billy Joel.
Billy Joel, really?
Billy Joel. We did 3 hours with him. It was phenomenal. And on your show,
impressive.
The best guest, I was thinking about it, was either Andy Kaufman or me. It's down to 2 people. So,
Andy Kaufman. Oh, my God. See, that's the kind of... that slips your mind. But Andy Kaufman, and I don't know how many people who have been watching in the last 10 or 15 years remember when Andy would come on the old show.
I remember.
Oh, my God.
Kiss me.
Oh, my God.
Kiss me.
I'm not going to kiss you.
Kiss me.
No. I have a thing.
Oh, you have
I have
one
a
of those.
thing here that I have to have Dr. Grandstein look at tomorrow.
What is Regina going to do in Montana, your wife?
We are not going to Montana.
Regina, listen to me.
Have you ever been to Montana?
Of course not. I have a life. I'm not...
Then I'm going to Montana.
I give up. Listen.
We got to bring out Don.
You're going to bring out Don
Rickles? Yeah, and then you and Don will go to dinner. It's going to be fantastic. We'll be right back with Don Rickles, ladies and gentlemen.